Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. So I'm shooting this video for the Chevelle. A lot of you guys think that my alleged head gasket blowout is actually the exhaust manifold gasket, and you know, I didn't believe it at first. Like, no, there's no way. I'm not an idiot. But I am. So I shot a video pulling the exhaust or this header off on this side. I wanted to show what happened. I did a lot of complaining in that video. It was worthless, so I pitched it. So what I have here is the rear piece of the exhaust manifold that came with these headers, or the exhaust manifold gasket that came with these headers. So this is the header side, and then when you flip it over, you have the side that goes to the block. Now obviously this was blown out to the point where the header wasn't seating on it. So obviously I did have a blown out exhaust manifold gasket. Everybody was right. I'm an idiot. So what I ended up doing was, a friend of mine had given me there's a Felpro gasket set that comes in 3 separate pieces per side. So you got one piece that goes on the back cylinder, one piece that goes on the front cylinder, and then one piece that goes in the middle too. So I cut this piece off, I put the other one in on that back cylinder, and lo and behold, my leak is gone on that cylinder. Now, since I reused the front portion of the gasket, you know, the original gasket, it leaks in the middle cylinders now. So that leads me to believe that I should be able to just replace the exhaust manifold gasket on this side and be good to go. However, my lifter tick is back. Now, again, I don't know if it's lifter tick. I don't know if it's the exhaust manifold leaking now. I don't know what it is. So in that video, I went ahead and I had to go to AutoZone. I'm not posting this video, by the way. I had to go to AutoZone. The exhaust manifold gaskets that I bought to replace this one ended up being damaged in the package. So I bought another set. I bought this set here. They're aluminum reusable. I don't know if I'm going to use these. And I'll explain why. So the reason I don't want to use these is because the port on these is perfectly round. The port on the actual headers themselves looks more like this. So obviously there's a difference there. Now anybody who knows anything about small block Chevys knows that neither one of these matches what the cylinder head looks like. The cylinder head looks like this, but is smaller like this. So the only gasket that I found that actually works is the for Felpro 3-piece set per head. So I'm probably going to go to AutoZone at some point and pick up that set of manifold gaskets. While I was out, I also went ahead and picked up a actual compression tester. Now, I actually compression tested that rear cylinder that I thought had a blown head gasket, and turns out I'm getting 135 psi. There were things I did wrong doing the compression test, so I'm going to be redoing that today. So I'll get the car warmed up. I'm going to probably turn it around in the driveway. I'll let it warm up, run it out of fuel, pull all 8 spark plugs, block open the carb, and then start the compression test. And I'll let you guys know what I find. So I'll be right back. Alright guys, I ran all the fuel out of the carb. I disconnected my HEI from inside. I have my battery charger hooked up just so for every cylinder, you know, the battery's not getting weak. I'm hooked up to number 1 cylinder here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that or not, which looks like you can. So I'm gonna go ahead. Oh, and I reversed my spring on my carb to go ahead and pull it wide open instead of pulling it closed. So let's see what happens. So this cylinder is at 140, so that's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead, do the rest of them. I'm gonna write it down. I already have it right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and write down what the values are for each cylinder, and I'll be right back. All right guys, the results are in. So number 1, we had 140. Number 2, we had 152. Number 3 was a little tricky. It started off at 122. I came back to it after I did the rest of them because I wasn't sure if I tightened it enough, but it varies anywhere from 125 to 130. And that's with the same tightness on the actual compression tester. So that one was a little low at first, which was a little scary. It's still kind of low, lower than the others. Number 4 was 131, 5 was 132, 6 was 132, 7 was 140, and 8 was 131. I'm not happy with these numbers, especially with the number 2 being at 152, and none of the other ones are even anywhere near that. What's that mean? Honestly, you know, I don't really know. I've heard you want 10% difference between all the cylinders, you want 20% difference. I'm not really sure. With those two on this side in the middle, number 3 and number 5 being the way they are, the spark plugs are nice and sooty. What does this mean? Well, those cylinders are running rich for some reason. So this is the number 1, which looks good, and then this one here is the number 7, which looks good as well. So why are those two running rich? Well, it can be a lot of things. It could be valve adjustment. It could be the cam lobes wiped. It could be so many different things. So I'm kind of debating if this motor needs to go away. I don't really want to spend any money fixing internals on this engine. Why is that? Well, as I've said in past videos, I plan to LS swap this car in the future. With the uncertainty of Power Tour right now, whether it's going to happen or not, I don't want to tear this motor down, fix anything wrong with the cylinder heads to be able to get it to Power Tour. I don't want to be into it $300-400 because I can go pick up a junkyard 5.3 for about half that. I already have an ECU, I already have a harness. If I go that route, I don't know if I'm going that route. I don't know if I do a carb LS swap. I don't really know what I'm going to do. As a backup plan, I have had this thing sitting in here for several months now. Not several months, but shortly after I got the car, my friend Andy sold me this engine. It's a 305, nothing fancy. I know it ran. I know it leaked oil. It leaked oil from this valve cover right here, which somebody at some point had cut off part of the flange. So there's literally like that much flange sealing the valve cover to the head. So I think this would be a good motor to put into the Chevelle in the event I decide to pull the 350 out. Yes, I'd like to keep the 350. Obviously the 350 has more power, it has more potential, but again, my goal with the car is to get the power tour and get me home. I don't want to be doing burnouts. I don't want to be drag racing it. I don't want to be autocrossing it. I don't plan to do any of the events while I'm on the tour. So reliability is my #1 goal here. I don't want any breakdowns. So where does that leave me? I'm on the fence because, like I said, with power tour, with the uncertainty, is it going to happen, is it not? So I'm going to slow play this as much as I possibly can. I'm not going to yank the 350 out of it right now. I need to be able to move it around my driveway. I need to be able to you know, I like having a car mobile. I don't like pulling a motor out of it and it's sitting, because that's what my Mustang has done for the last, year and a half, 2 years almost. No, it's not 2 years, it's like a year and a half. Pretty much since I've moved into this house, the engine's been out of that Mustang. So I'm just rambling at this point. That's the compression test. I'm not happy with the numbers. What do you guys think? Do you think those numbers are safe? Do you think this motor would be reliable enough to get me to power tour and back without putting any money into it? I don't want to pull the heads off. I don't want to do anything other than put a new set of valve cover. I got another set of valve covers. I'm going to put those on it. I'm going to reseal the driver's side exhaust, the header, and I'm calling it at that. If I have to do anything more than that, this engine's coming out, and that's it. So what would you guys do? Would you swap to the 305? Would you keep the 350? Now remember, the 350 cannot have any internal work done to it at all. I'm talking as is right here in front of us with those compression numbers. What would you do? Comment. Let me know what you think. As always, like, share. I already said comment, so subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.